question has popped up, can you use your gun to defend a police officer that's in trouble? Or can you defend a police officer that's in trouble even if you don't have to use your gun? We'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, we have a giveaway going on. It's happening right now. It is absolutely free, but it ends really soon. Click on the link in the description down below to find out exactly what you could win. Now let's talk about helping police officers. If you happen upon a police officer who is quote unquote in a bad way, if a cop needs help and he's in trouble, can you help that cop? Yes. Should you help that cop? I'm going to say yes. If a cop really needs help, I'm going to tell you to help that cop. But there are some things you need to think about when you get involved with helping a police officer. First and foremost is if that cop needs help, we're talking about an incredibly dangerous situation that has gotten wildly out of control, and now that police officer needs help. So make no mistake about it. You are wading into a deadly situation, a situation where somebody might get killed. Could be you, could be the cop, could be the bad guy, but this is probably going to be the worst day of everybody's life up until that point. Right there when you come upon this situation. Now, if the cop is in need of help, what can you do to help? And again, you're going to have to be following all the same laws that apply to a self-defense situation. This is simply defense of third party. The third party happens to be a police officer. What can you do? What do you need to know before you get involved in this situation? And do you reasonably believe that this police officer is facing an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm? That's what allows you, that's what gives you the right to act, that makes your actions justified. Do you reasonably believe that? If there's somebody in a full mount just pounding a cop in the face, do you reasonably believe that that cop is in imminent fear of death or great bodily harm? Now, before you jump in and do this, you want to make sure that all of your target requirements are there. Your target acquisition, your target isolation, especially target isolation, and your target identification, that you've met all of those requirements. You know exactly where your shot is going to go, that nobody else is in the way, and you know exactly who you are shooting at and why. Because this is almost like a hostage shot. You have a very narrow window. You have to be able to put your rounds where you want them so you don't inadvertently shoot the cop. And whether or not that's a cop or another third party that you're trying to defend, you want to make sure that you've got all of those bases covered, that you understand exactly what your skill level is and can you rise to this occasion to do that. And remember, we say you don't rise to that occasion, you fall back to your lowest level of training under that kind of stress. So make sure that you can do it before you try to do it. So now, some of the other considerations. If this officer is in need of help and facing an imminent deadly threat, one of the things that you can count on is that officer has probably already radioed for help, probably already requested backup, but it takes some time to get there, which means you're walking into a situation where the police officer has said he or she is being attacked and has called for help. And how many other cops are coming? All of them. All the other cops are showing up. Every cop that is close by is going to show up on that scene, and they don't know anything except that the cop who called for help needs help. So you got to make sure that the other responding officers, the backup officers, do not see you as a threat in any way, shape, or form. So think about this. The cop calls in and says, "Man with a gun, I need help. Shots have been fired. Things are going badly." You pull out your gun to help this cop and another officer arrives, you might be seen as a threat. You might immediately be taking incoming rounds from a cop who's coming to try to save another cop. Or at the very least, you're going to be looking at that cop's barrel and that cop's going to be barking orders telling you what to do. You better do that immediately. Don't try to explain why you're there. Put your gun down and just let the situation play itself out. The other cops are there to help. So understand before you wade into this that the cavalry is probably coming. Other cops are probably on their way, and you do not want them to see you as a threat or as someone who might be trying to hurt that cop. Now, what we're talking about is a situation where a cop is being beaten up or has been shot or is on the verge of getting shot or something like that, and you need to intercede to help that cop. If the cop is actively engaged in a gun battle, shooting back and forth between another bad guy, stay out of it. If you pull out your gun and start shooting, that takes the attention of that officer away from the person he's shooting at, and suddenly he has to deal with somebody else shooting over here. He doesn't know if this person is shooting at him or her or anything like that. The cop doesn't know what is going on. If the situation is such that you have the time to get close to the cop and say, "Hi, I'm here to help," he's going to tell you, just get out of the way. He's got it. Everything's under control. So think about that before you might decide to intercede. If it's an active battle, if it's an active gunfight that's going on, get out of the way. You don't want any of the bullets coming your direction anyway, and you don't want to confuse that cop as maybe the cop thinks another person is shooting at him or her, and we don't want that to happen at all. If a cop is involved in a ground fight and is struggling to get someone handcuffed or get someone under control, and you jump in to help, make it clear to the officer that you are here to help, and you just say, "Police officer, I'm here to help you. What can I do?" And typically, a good way to help out is to see if you can control that subject's head, push the head down into the ground and help the officer that way. Or maybe you need to control the subject's legs, if you can grab them around the ankles or lay across the legs or something like that. That will help the officer try to get control of that, but also follow that officer's directions. He or she might tell you what to do to help grab the arm and get it back there or something, but make it clear to the officer that you are there to help, because they might see you as another threat that's coming into this situation. And in this day and age, cops never know what's going to happen at the site of an arrest when they're putting somebody in handcuffs. So make sure that you're absolutely clear. And unless you truly, truly believe that that cop needs immediate help, stay out of the way and don't get involved, because you could be confused for someone who's trying to do harm to that officer. Do you carry with a round in the chamber? Because if you don't, you need to watch this video right next to me, because it's dangerous not to, and I'll explain why. Yes, you should carry with one in the chamber.